You should see grandmother with her gigantic chest, her factories and her crest, and her stock market list. You should see grandmother run her business affairs. She sells pure fresh air, labelled finest Scotch mist. You should see grandmother as she counts up her dough, zeros round as her arse, lined in row after row. But meanwhile grandfather runs after the housemaid, telling her that love is more precious by far. How can you expect good people for our housemaids and our small investors to know what good values are? You should see grandmother explode round her manor, smoking her havana and trembling the floors. You should see grandmother with her generals in tow, running the show and winning their wars. You should see grandmother like Napoleon strut. This is her Waterloo, where Prussia didn't show up. But meanwhile grandfather runs after the housemaid, telling her the army couldn't beat eggs in a jar. How can you expect good people for our housemaid and our rank and file to know what good values are? You should see grandmother insure herself against death, a prayer under her breath, a large cross on her chest. You should see grandmother with her women's guild, honor those who were killed and those who did their best. You should see grandmother when she thinks she's transgressed, push herself to the front to get herself blessed. But meanwhile grandfather runs after the housemaid, telling her that priests are only having a laugh. How can you expect good people for our housemaids and our non-believers to know what good values are? But you should see grandfather in the bars out the back, where the billiard balls clack like the tankards of beer. You should see grandfather as he pulls up his weeds, or planting his seeds, or crying over Shakespeare. You should see grandfather taking stock of his life, full of shame and regret for betraying his wife. But meanwhile grandmother helps herself to the housemaid, telling her that men are more dishonest by far. How can you expect good people for our housemaids and our glorious youth to know what good values are?